Hello and welcome into today's edition of the Arizona State Sun Devils Insider Podcast. My name is Kevin Hicks and I am the lead beat writer for Arizona State Sun Devils on SI. And I am joined once again today, as I have been every week for the last several weeks, by the great Tanner Capolini, one of my writers for the Arizona State on SI site. And we are here to preview the Arizona State Sun Devils season opener against the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks. And we are almost there. We are one day away from the Sun Devil season starting, Tanner. And how excited are you for Sun Devil football to be back?
I'm excited, Kevin. It's great to be on again, and I've really enjoyed writing for ASU on SI, previewing the team, and it'll be really cool to see all the Sun Devils in action. And yeah, it's that time of football where we're getting started, and it's a very joyous and exciting time.
Absolutely. And just before we kind of break down a key to the game to making sure there's little to no doubt and a player to watch on each side of the ball, I just wanted to break down a few key notes heading into the game. So on the Sun Devil side, obviously they are ranked number 11 in the nation right now. That is the third highest ranking they've had going into a season in program history. I believe the only other times they were ranked higher were in 1993 and I don't remember the other one, but it's been a while since they've been ranked this high in a preseason poll. Considerable hype surrounding the program that has followed that ranking. Obviously, the Arizona State game is announced. It has been announced that it was sold out, so it will be at a capacity crowd of nearly 54,000 fans. It's going to be packed, it's going to be loud, and Kenny Dillingham has absolutely invigorated this fan base. And before we get to talking about the matchup in general, the last thing I wanted to add in was that the depth chart has been released earlier in the week, the first official one at least. And I did touch upon this in an episode earlier in the week, but the considerable amount of depth that is on the roster was in full force, on full display when it was released. There's upwards of 30 players that are listed as starters, which obviously, since there's only 11 on the field at any given time, it's really just listing players that are starting caliber, which that is the strategic thing, and obviously just flexing your muscles about how much talent you really believe that you have. And Sun Devil fans have every right to be very, very thrilled with the product that is likely to be blessing their screens and blessing their eyes if they're in person in the very near future, Tanner.
Yeah, this is the depth chart was really cool to see. We've mentioned before on this podcast that the Sun Devils have so much depth, and that's really key to any sports team, not just football. It's just having so many players you can rely on. Not only due to injuries obviously do happen, you do have to account for them, but just it's good to have rotation and different looks with different players and to sub in different guys, especially more for the defensive packages with the secondary. More so, you'll probably see that there. Guys kind of rotating between corners, slot corner, safety. You're not really going to see sub-ins with the quarterback or offensive line, but more so at the defensive positions. And one kind of just quick note before we dive in is I do like this game kind of from a storyline perspective of ASU hosting the NAU Lumberjacks. For years, the ASU rivalry has been the U of A Wildcats, kind of for the other Arizona college team. And that's still a rivalry. ASU still does play U of A this year, but I kind of do like how they play NAU. That's kind of a cool way to start the season. Kind of this other Arizona team that I feel like that ASU really doesn't have a ton of. They don't play each other super often, so that was kind of neat to see this game being scheduled. And their last game of the regular season is U of A, so it's kind of cool how they begin with an Arizona college and end the regular season with an Arizona college.
Absolutely, that's a great point. Um, Obviously, Northern Arizona is not expected to compete in this game too much. Like they've obviously grown a lot as a program in the last few seasons. Coach Dillingham mentioned that they were ranked top 20 nationally in the FCS last season, so they aren't really a pushover team. But the talent gap, the gap in terms of athletes on the roster, obviously very considerable. That's just what it is. I'm not trying to downplay NAU. That's what it is when any FCS team plays a Power 5 team, Power 4 team for the most part. But this will be great exposure for NAU nonetheless. Obviously, last year they pushed U of A. They lost 22-10, but they played them very admirably. And this is another opportunity for them to get a little more exposure, earn a big game check from ASU to come down here and play. There's some positives in it for them, but without further ado, let's get into a couple of keys. I'll give one key to Arizona State jumping out to a quick lead, and you'll give your key. I guess I'll just start out with that. For me, really, the key to the game is quite simple for me personally, but I believe that you need to feed Jordan Tyson as much as possible early on in the game. Obviously, I'm 99% confident that Kyson Brown will take the first carry of the season for the Sun Devils. But NAU, it's just they're a very defensive-centric team in general. That's kind of been the approach for the program over the last few seasons. But Jordan Tyson is just one of those players that's in the same vein as like Jeremiah Smith or Ryan Williams, where you can really line him up anywhere on the field. You can really draw up any route tree for him to run, and he's going to find a way to create space. He's going to find a way to beat you in the short game and the long game. I don't really think it matters which way you get him involved. You just have to get him involved, and I know Marcus Arroyo is very likely to put him in position to make those plays and be the elite player that we know he is. And I think if they succeed in that, you're going to see scoring drive after scoring drive very early on in the game. They're going to set the tone. The defense isn't going to have to grind out rep to rep nearly as much as they would if the offense was kind of finding their groove early on in the game. You know what I mean? So that's kind of just my opinion personally.
Yeah, that's a really good take, Kevin. I think that this could be a game where Jordan Tyson has some insane stat line, like maybe 200 receiving yards, maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns. Like, I think he could just really have, a big game to really start this season. The key for me, I kind of have two, kind of cheating a bit here, but I have kind of one big one and one small one. The small one is, I guess, just don't make mistakes. I do think NAU, I'm somewhat higher on them. Yes, ASU should win this game by a good amount. But I do think that the Lumberjacks are maybe a bit more talented than some people are saying. So I just think play mistake-free ball. It seems like Kenny Dillingham has really respected NAU, so I don't see that happening. But I just did want to point that out. And the other point is, the major one, is to just stop NAU quarterback Ty Pennington from the scramble. I did a piece with that for ASU on SI where I just really talked about, I thought Pennington was a really good scrambling quarterback, and I just think if you can really stop him there, I think you'll have success. I think ASU will do that. I think they match up very well, especially on that defensive line with guys like CJ Fight, Clayton Smith, all those guys. But yeah, I think that's the key, and I think this is a very easy win overall for ASU. Even though I do like what NAU is doing with some of their team building, I do think this is a game that ASU should really just coast to victory as long as they don't make mistakes.
That's a great point with the run defense. NAU, obviously, they're more, like I said, of a kind of grinded out rep to rep, play hard-nosed defense, run the ball efficiently. That's kind of their philosophy. And Arizona State obviously had the number one run defense in the Big 12 a season ago. And not a lot changed. The only thing that really changed is that you can expect a CJ Fight to take a step forward. You can expect the edge group to be stronger this season than it was last season. So realistically, I could see a world in which the defense has a performance like they did last season in the opener against Wyoming, where they shut out the Cowboys until the very last second of the game. The only points that Wyoming scored the entire game came with 2 seconds left on the clock. And that was really the first sign that we got that maybe this team is more talented than we ever could have imagined. Maybe this team is faster than we ever could have imagined. And I think that they're going to possibly make a statement that's even stronger in this game. Obviously, you only learn so much from a game against a team that is objectively at a different level than you are. But there still are positive, encouraging signs that you can get out of a game like this. Just getting the opening game jitters out, seeing how life without Cam Scadaboo looks, all those factors tie into this. But yeah, great points, Tanner. And I really wanted to close off today's show with kind of giving one player to watch on offense and one player to watch on defense a piece. And you can go ahead and give yours if you'd like to right now.
Yeah, I think defensively, I think defense as a whole will have a really good game. If I had to pick someone, I'll go with Clayton Smith. I'm just a really big fan of Clayton Smith, and he has a really explosive high upside as an edge rusher. He really has the physical tools, and is that going to show up every game? Is he going to win every pass rush rep that he gets? No. And I know you've mentioned before that ASU does play some good O-lines, but I think this is a team that he can really just capitalize against, have a really big game. I could see him making some impact plays, and I think that a lot of his D-line is already pretty well established, but I think Clayton Smith could have a really big game, or Prince Dober. I think one of the two edges is going to have a big game. I could just kind of see that happening for the defensive. Oh, do you want me to go to offense as well, or I don't know if you wanted to do defense?
Yeah, you can do offense as well. Yeah.
So for offense, yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to see. I think ASU is going to be maybe more pass heavy than run heavy if I did have to choose. I could see Jordan Tyson, I think, could have the best game. But in terms of breakout, kind of being a guy to watch for, I'm going to go with the tight end, Shimon Mateer. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I don't know. I just could see. I think where this could kind of come into play is, I think ASU is going to start out kind of going deep to Tyson, hitting those deep balls, and I think they're going to find success early. But I think NAU is going to kind of adapt, play the deep game, and I think they're going to allow a lot of kind of the short, medium stuff open. And I think that's where Mateer can really thrive, is those 8 to kind of 12-yard throws. So that's where I think he could have a really nice game. He might not be the stat leader for the Sun Devils receiving, but I could kind of see him being someone that people say, oh, okay, this guy could be a huge factor for kind of the rest of the season. I was also going to say Jalen Moss. I really do like Jalen Moss, the transfer from Fresno State. I'm super excited about him. I think he'll have some plays. I think in terms of receivers, though, it's going to be Tyson as the number one. But yeah, I could see Mateer having a nice game for the tight end position.
Great answers, Tanner. Yeah, Clayton Smith, the talent has always been apparent there for me. Obviously, things didn't work out for him when he was at Oklahoma, but he was a 5-star recruit out of high school for a reason. He's very explosive. Coach Dillingham has talked about him upping his weight virtually every week during fall camp. He's up to around 262 pounds now as of the last update, and he still has the same explosiveness and moves pretty much the same as he did before, even while upping his weight. So that is a phenomenal choice. And Mateer as well. Really, like you said, he's the ultimate security blanket for Sam Leavitt. He's really, really great in the red zone. He has great hands. He's not necessarily as explosive as some other tight ends, but realistically, he's very, very reliable. He's a great route runner. Like I said, he has great hands. And, yeah, he really, once again, red zone opportunities, like, I wouldn't surprise me at all if he secured a touchdown or two in the game. For me personally, just to wrap things up, I'd say a player to watch. Obviously, I'm pretty high on Justin Watley personally. Uh, I think he's going to make a big impact in virtually every game they have. But I also want to shout out Cyrus Fiaseu. He got listed as a co-starter alongside Keyshawn Elliott, and I believe, especially in this game, they're going to rotate out between Fiaseu and Tate Romney in complement of, obviously, Keyshawn Elliott and Jordan Crook. And Fiaseu last season really made his presence felt in the first game. Obviously, a pick six in the first minute of the season. He really was the first player to make a statement that the Sun Devil football program is back. And I think he might do much of the same in this game. I'm not saying he's going to obviously score a defensive touchdown, but he's a very, very intelligent player. Very, very good run support. I feel like he's kind of underappreciated in pass coverage. He might not be the most explosive athlete when it comes to an off-ball backer in coverage, but he's really solid all around, and he's a player that I think deserves more recognition in that Arizona State defense. And as far as offense is concerned, you could really go to any number of players, but I think I'm going to go to a couple of players, actually, personally. I want to go to a player that is on the part of the offense that really doesn't get the recognition that deserves, and we've talked about this. But Ben Coleman, he's officially the starting center on the offensive line, making that switch from left guard to center. And there have been a couple of instances during practice where he's had some trouble with the exchange on the snap, which has left some doubt as to whether he would actually start at center. He would make the switch back to left guard as he was previously. But he's the starting center, and I believe that he is a good enough football player. He's intelligent enough. He's adaptable enough where it will be a non-issue. But this is the game for him, of all games, to work out those kinks that might be there from the switch. And I think that will be a pretty clean transition once the game gets going. I think that he's going to prove that he is an adaptable player. He can play really at any spot on the offensive line, and that will bode well for his NFL future. Obviously, like I said, this is really the game of all games to work things out that potentially could be roadblocks moving forward, and I believe that he will. And for the last player I really wanted to mention, I wanted to bring up Raleek Brown. He's listed as a co-starter alongside Kyson Brown at the running back spot. I believe that Kyson will receive the first carry of the season and probably will be out there for the first snap of the season. But Raleek has been really, really impressive as an all-around player. He's taken reps as a punt returner and a kick returner as well. He's listed as the co-starter there alongside Jalen Moss, who you mentioned previously. Just that explosive playmaker aspect that Raleek brings to the field, any given snap, is going to be invaluable, I believe, to Marcus Arroyo. He's a great pass catcher. He can receive the ball out of the backfield, and he can line up on the line of scrimmage for downfield routes. He's been surprisingly strong blocker, too, for his frame. He's listed at about 5'9", 200. So you wouldn't expect him to necessarily be that threat as a blocker, but he's really taken me by surprise in that front. And lastly, his running style, we got a little taste of that last year against Kansas in the only game that he received carries in. I believe he took 7 carries for 42 yards, so he was very efficient in that contest. And I just really believe that he's a well-rounded player, and as ESPN mentioned, he really could be one of those breakout players for a top 25 team that could define their season, and I think that we could get a glimpse of that tomorrow night.
Yeah, those are all good points, Kevin. I think, with this game, I was also kind of looking at the depth chart. I wonder if, I think we all agree ASU is going to win big. I wonder if they'll put in maybe any of the second string guys and if there'll be anyone there that could really break out. I think this game could go in a variety of ways. I think also, kind of in terms of players, we were talking about kind of guys who maybe are some people kind of somewhat going unnoticed. So I think Sam Levitt's going to have a really good game. I think everyone thinks that, so that's why I didn't choose Levitt. But I think Levitt's going to really ball out. I think just this team as well is going to function very smoothly. like I said, I think they'll avoid mistakes, and I could see there being a lot of other guys. And I'm super happy for Ben Coleman to get the starting job at center. I've really, ever since I started writing for ASU and SI, Ben Coleman's been one of those players that I just have really liked incorporating in my pieces, and just he seems like a really nice person and seems like a really good player as well. So I'm excited for him, and yeah, that was really cool to hear that he got the official starting job.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that they have all those options on the offensive line to fall back on if something happens, uh, obviously you can mix and match. The offensive line is in a much better place now than it was 2 years ago or so, and that's another crucial aspect to the team operationally this season. Uh, Real quick before we end today's episode, kind of want to get a general prediction about how the game will go, like whether it's like a specific score or just what you think the flow of the game's going to be. For me, I believe ASU really this. I don't think this should be too hot of a take, but I think ASU will win the game 56-10, something in that range. I think the offense really will show out. I think that they probably will be at 35-42. They'll five, 6 touchdowns in the first half. Then Jeff Sims will probably get much of the second half, and he probably has potential to lead a couple of scoring drives as well, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, so like I said before, I'm a bit higher on NAU. I still think ASU wins. I think in terms of NAU, how they score, I think they do get a touchdown in there. I've seen some predictions where people say they get shut out or it's only field goals for them. That's very possible. This is an amazing ASU defense coached by Brian Ward. This is a defense that's going to be healthy and hungry for the Sun Devils, so I could see that. I just do think, though, NAU has some good offensive playmakers, and I do think they also have some experience there. I think that's key. So I do have them giving a touchdown at 7, and then I do think that's it for touchdowns. I do have them kicking a couple field goals, so I have them at 16 points. That might seem high, but I think they are a team that's, has the experience to kind of at least get some stuff. And in ASU, yeah, I think they're going to have a lot of touchdowns. I was going with a score of maybe 48-16 or something like that. I think ASU in the first half is definitely going to be more an offensive juggernaut, if you will. I think they could kind of go into the half maybe like 35-42. I think in the second half, they're going to be definitely kind of more just wanting the game to be done. I think we'll see a lot of the second string guys. I think they're going to really run the ball a lot, really run a lot of clock. I think Kenny Dillingham, he's kind of shown this respect for the NAU, so I don't know if he'll want to run up the scoreboard. And even if he wanted to, I think he knows injuries are possible. So I think he's just going to run the clock, get out of there. So yeah, I think 48-16 is kind of where I'm at. I think NAU, I think it's below 20. I think somewhere between 10 and 20. I think ASU gets somewhere between the high 30s to the low 50s. I just kind of see this team, ASU, kind of more so running the ball, running the clock in the second half, and going on to week 2.
That's a very, very good point, Tanner. Last season, I believe Coach Dillingham learned his lesson about leaving starters in too long. Obviously, Jordan Tyson got hurt in the second half of the Arizona game, final game of the regular season, and he missed the 2 postseason games. So that's a very good point. They might get to a point where they just pull the plug on all the starters, give the underclassmen and some backups an opportunity to showcase themselves. Obviously, Dillingham is very high on players such as Jeff Sims. He believes Jeff Sims is an NFL level quarterback, and there is a very real chance that once they get to like 35, 42 points, like I said, they might just decide to give those guys an opportunity. That's a very, very good point, and I believe that's all the bases that I wanted to touch for today's episode. If you have anything else to add to the end, Tanner, go right ahead right now.
Yeah, I think this should just be a game. I don't have the words get things right, but I know a lot of ASU fans are very disappointed with how the season ended against Texas last year. Not so much disappointed in the team, but just they were so close. ASU really battled, and it's tough to lose that game. And I think this will be a game to just go out there and kind of have a fresh new start. This almost somewhat feels like a new team. Yes, there is a lot of returning players, as we have mentioned, but there's some new players coming in, some new identities being formed. And I just think this will be the way to kind of, I think also have ASU some respect. When you said that they're ranked number 11, I think that's way too low. I think they should. I think they're a top seven. Like I think they should at least be 6, 7, 8 around there. So I think this will just be a game where I've seen a lot of pieces as well of saying ASU's overrated and stuff. And I'm not just saying this because I cover the team. I really do think this is a great team. I think their depth and coaching are amazing. So yeah, I think this will be a game that the people who sleep on ASU, I think it'll be a wake up call for them.
That's a great point, Tanner. And I think that that's a perfect segue to the ending of today's episode. I'm so excited to cover this team in game action starting tomorrow. And Tanner is actually going to be joining me as well. So stay tuned to Arizona State on SI. We will be providing live updates for the game in a variety of ways. We will be there for the press conferences after the game. And it's going to be an absolute blast. And thank you for tuning into today's episode. And thank you for joining me once again, Tanner. And I'm looking so forward to it. And we will see you tomorrow at the game.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're here. ASU football is here.
All right, yeah, it's absolutely perfect start to the season, and we will see you tomorrow, ASU fans.